And we are back with another episode of On the Record with Tiffany. Normally, I have multiple guests, but today we're going to talk a little bit about Texas Kidney Foundation, my day job, and why we're doing On the Record with Tiffany and why I do what I do. Well, let me give you a little bit of history on Texas Kidney Foundation. We started in 2011, and that was when the National Kidney Foundation left San Antonio. So, unfortunately, they didn't take kidney disease with them. So, we, we had to fill in and figure out what to do to lend services to the patients of our area and down towards the border, which is the hardest hit area for kidney disease in the country. Um, it was a difficult undertaking, but a group of professionals and patients from the area decided uh, to start a foundation to provide patient services, to try to address the needs of the community and the patients that we were serving, and the growing problem of kidney disease. So, in 2017, uh, I took over Texas Kidney Foundation. And at that point, we had evolved into an organization that had some basic tenets, which were to become a force in the region to stop kidney disease or slow the progression of kidney disease and to increase transplantation um, for kidney patients, for those in need of a kidney. Um, so, based on that, when I took over, the organization was in need of some help. We needed some better processes and procedures and a game plan. You know, a 3 to 5 year plan. How are we going to execute? What are we going to do? Um, and so I decided that we would execute around disease mitigation or slowing or stopping the disease, and that we would do that by raising awareness, affecting policy, and promoting patients being empowered. You have agency, you have the ability to change your situation, and let us show you how. So, all programs, everything in relationship to Texas Kidney Foundation went from this hodgepodge of chaos to us beginning to refine and define each area of the organization, while at the same time finding the people that were the right fit. How are we to move forward, and what was that going to look like for us as an agency, as a company, and as a group? Um, so we began to develop uh, what would be the game plan for Texas Kidney Foundation. And in doing that, you know, my background is journalism and foreign service. Uh, those were my degrees, and then um, working with Baylor University and Rice University. So I definitely had a background steeped in academia. So with that, uh, I began at the beginning, which was as a student, and went straight to um, the National Institute of Health to find out what is it that we're doing. What are we doing behind the scenes? What are the most powerful minds in research and and on the what would can only be considered the healthcare academic side of 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 patient care, what were they doing? What's the upper echelon, the researchers? What are they doing? And how are they addressing kidney disease? Because, as many of you know, I took on the job because I lost 9 family members to chronic kidney disease. Now, when I say that, for some people that sounds like a soundbite. Okay, this is, everybody has a story and everybody wants to tell their story. But in my case, the 9 family members is the reason why I do the job that I do. Because with 9 people gone, I took this job trying to find out what happened. What happened in my family. Because if I could identify what happened in mine, maybe I can identify what's happening in yours. So in my search for it, I felt that there was something genetic, that there had to be some sort of allele or link, some sort of genetic link that was propelling disease progression, at least in some of us. I keep a inspiration page, and it has on that page it has a list of all of the family members that I've lost and close friends to chronic kidney disease. Now, if you knew these people, you would know that when you list them out and look at their names, you can see that entire families are being affected. And in looking at that every day, it reinforced to me that even when people are telling me no, that I'm wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, and these are intelligent people telling me that we're wrong, I knew I was right. That there had to be some sort of genetic connection. Well, that's where I began looking for what is the connection? What is it? What's causing this? And how can we bring these two things into communion and work with people? Figure out what's wrong and work with people. So as I got into this, I looked and began to get to know the people on the team and just looked at the industry and what was going on. And saw that often, because of the population that we serve the underserved, that there was a that'll do it mentality. And they're used to having less than. It won't matter if we have this event at some place that's not patient friendly, or if we give the patients food, give people that are in renal failure food that's not good for them. They're used to it. I kept hearing that same phrase, they're used to it. And I thought, is this really how we want to treat people? Are we called to give people just enough? Are we called to have a that'll do it mentality? Or am I going to follow what I know as a Christian I'm called to do? Which is every time I read my Bible, I'm called to provide excellence, to be God's best and to give God's best. So from the onset, I told everybody under my leadership, we would bring the best. We would find the best technology. We would find the best people. But we would and will deliver the best. And only the best. Because every person that walks the earth, they're all God's people. And that's how we roll at Texas Kidney Foundation. We would be doing things based on that, not based on anything else. So that would be our first standard that we would set. We're starting with the best. We will seek out the best. And we will follow the things that we say we hold dear, which is early detection, disease mitigation, awareness, education, and support. But we would be the best in all of those areas. Stick with me for a few more minutes. Come back in our next segment so you can hear how this is turning out. What does early detection look like? And let me tell you about a few of the things that we've done in the last 4 years that we've been pushing forward on our quest to raise awareness about chronic kidney disease and change the trajectory of this disease in the state of Texas and beyond. And you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany, and I'm your host, Tiffany Jones Smith. And let's come on back and talk a little bit more about chronic kidney disease. And we're back on 9:30 a.m. The Answer with On the Record with Tiffany. And I'm your host, Tiffany Jones Smith. And we're just talking a little bit about Texas Kidney Foundation and how it's been going for the last 4 years with the organization as we've pivoted and changed how we do things and how we address chronic kidney disease. Well, over the last 4 years, a lot has changed with the Texas Kidney Foundation. In our last segment, I talked about us going to the National Institute of Health. Well, as we always do, we made friends and learned a lot from the team at the National Institute of Health, specifically from Dr. Jeffrey Cobb and Dr. Rob Starr. There was so much. There's so much in the world of kidneys, but they have really done their part in catching up and helping to move the research along for kidney patients. Initially, someone made the decision in the beginning of chronic kidney disease. Someone made the decision to not biopsy kidney patients, which was a poor decision. And Dr. Rob Starr went back and corrected that and began to take biopsies and examine those biopsies because kidney patients, the kidney is very complex. And so we had, we were very, very fortunate at Texas Kidney Foundation to get to take part in working with the National Institute of Health and listening in on many of their studies and lectures, and they're wonderful about providing information. So as much information as you think you can hold, you can you can get from the National Institute of Health. So we began there. We began working with them to see what's within the scope of our power. You measure a problem from what your capacity is to the solving of the problem. And we knew that we would need partnerships. We would need to join with others in order to solve the problem of chronic kidney disease and to get our underserved population served. So we began to look at technology. What's the best technology? We found a creatinine statin meter. made by Nova Biomedical. So we began to work with Nova Biomedical and their team, and we did use the creatinine statin meter to measure kidney function out in the field, which means that uh, we went out and took kidney screenings to the public, which hadn't been done in the manner that we're doing it and still has not. We take the creatinine statin meter and we can go any place. We do not need a laboratory. We do not need um, uh, anything other than a table and uh, an air conditioned spot. And even when we find ourselves in an outdoors, we can screen for so many hours uh, with the creatinine statin meter um, without any problems. So uh, we were then able to make our testing portable. So that meant we could go all over the state of Texas, which we do, and service people with our creatinine statin meters. So that was one of the first things that we did is increased our capacity to test. So we began to expand out into um, all of the counties across the state, outside of Bear County, because uh, prior to 2017, we concentrated mainly in Bear County. We did a few little jaunts here and there, but uh, our work was done uh, mostly in Bear County. Um, so we began to harness technology. Technology, uh, as anyone can see, was going to be an important tool for Texas Kidney Foundation. But we also saw that patient empowerment was as important as the technology is, because teaching patients that they have agency, that they have the ability to control their destiny, to take control of their health at whatever stage of kidney disease they may find themselves at. They have the control to, they have the power to take ownership and to begin to move the needle. That concept uh, we utilized. We utilized in our Live It Up, and we began to rebrand the program. So we utilized that concept in our Live It Up, in our kidney checks, and began to a whole new way of thinking, which is powerful for the patient, powerful for us, and powerful for the caregivers. We began to bring in patients, caregivers, and their family members, so that we could um, assist them where they are right now with their needs. It seems like a simple concept. It was life changing for the life of our organization and life changing for those individuals that we encountered, employing the techniques that we were developing under patient leadership. And that was key for us, is involving patients in every aspect of what we were doing and how the organization was being led. Just polling those patients, talking with them, evaluating what we're each little piece of the puzzle that makes up Texas Kidney Foundation. Patients are the most important tool that we have in our arsenal. Patients. because were it not for those who are dealing with the difficulty of chronic kidney disease, the most vulnerable in our population, we wouldn't be able to make the best decisions as an organization for the people that we serve. We let them give us the guidance on where to make our decisions and what and how we should make those decisions. And that's been a pivotal change and a very beneficial change to the organization. Once we started moving down that road, it has been a successful, amazing journey, walking hand in hand with the kidney population. Every time we go to a dialysis unit, every time we go to a health fair, every time we go to a church, a community center, every time we go to the places where the people that we serve are located, it is a dynamic, life affirming, and agency affirming experience. Because to see the work that everyone is putting in, and to see the time that the people we are serving are putting in to help serve each other, and the time that our team is putting in to watch the TKF team is rewarding and beneficial to our community. To watch them reach out, listen, and apply what we've learned to our programs and our organization. It's one of the best decisions we've made as an agency. You're listening to On the Record with Tiffany, and I'm your host, Tiffany Smith. We're on my favorite radio station, 9:30 a.m. The Answer, a place where you can listen, learn, question, and comment on what's going on out there. So you're going to hear my opinions, my guests' opinions, but today you're going to hear why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing and how much I think this benefits Texas Kidney Foundation, how much we've changed and grown as an organization, and it's just the patients that we serve. We're grateful to them for all that they've done for us. And you're listening to On the Record with Tiffany. And we're back with On the Record with Tiffany. And here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. So Texas Kidney Foundation's main tenets are we're conducting early detection screenings of chronic kidney disease. Well, we're doing far more than that, but that's the first step in disease mitigation, early detection. With our screenings, we started looking at all kinds of other types of technology. Okay, so we found the creatinine statin meter. Then we began to go out into the community, all over the state, screening, looking at early detection for chronic kidney disease. And we screened many thousands over the last 4 years. Our largest year was over 4,500 people screened. Um, then COVID-19 hit. That was, uh, it was a humbling time for everybody, but it was also a very empowering time because when COVID-19 happened, everything stopped, and we had to really think about, okay, we're locked in our homes. How do we address chronic kidney disease? Because the disease is continuing, and it's actually, you know, information started to emerge as researchers and scientists began to collect data on COVID 19. And so we started to see COVID 19 acting as an AKI. So, what does that mean? What was that going to mean in terms of disease progression? An AKI is an acute kidney injury. So that means that people were going into the hospital with COVID 19 and leaving the hospital with some stage of kidney disease. And the percentages were high. 46% of the people were going into the hospital with some stage with COVID 19 were leaving with some stage of kidney disease. So if that hospitalized population was reflective of the non hospitalized population, we were looking at something uh, substantial in the way of the COVID 19 numbers expanding. Well, expanding the kidney disease population. Well, the kidney disease population was already, 1 in 3 across the United States. 1 in 3 are at risk for kidney disease. Well, that's significant. That means that when you're sitting on your church pew or you're walking through the HEB or shopping at Forever 21, uh, you look around and you see 6 people, 2 of those people have some form or some stage of kidney disease and they don't know that they have it. Now think about those numbers growing exponentially with COVID 19 because right now we have over 2 million people who are in recovery from COVID 19 in the state of Texas. So if that's the case, the numbers alone uh, on 2 million are significant. So uh, that made us rethink and retool everything. Now, from the beginning, uh, part of my leadership plan was that we would, as an organization, affect policy change. The only way you change things in the United States is not through marches and protests and uh, long conversations into the night with politicians. The way that you change things in the United States is policy. You have to write bills, you have to uh, pass legislation. That's how things change in the United States. That's the beauty of the United States, is that you have the ability to talk about the country and all the things you like or dislike within this nation, and then you can go home and no one's going to pick you up and drag you off to unknown parts to do whatever to you. That's called freedom. So we knew from the beginning that we would have to change some policy here and begin to look at policy. But as COVID 19 took over and we started seeing all manner of, of things change, then we knew that that awareness coupled with early detection, uh, support, education, and policy change, when you combined all of those things, we would have to address every single area and have a plan for each one. So we uh, just hunkered down and began to plan. There was radio silence from Texas Kidney Foundation. Not radio silence, but there was, we were planning and writing and developing and doing focus groups and all of the things that are required to create a best product, to create something that is worthy of the people of this great state and the people that we serve. And so we sat down and created Silent but Deadly and tested it on focus groups, churches, people in general, family, friends, everybody that we could talk to about chronic kidney disease, and began this campaign, which we rolled out with the mayor of San Antonio and a world-renowned kidney transplant surgeon, Dr. Francisco Figueroa, and we just went to the best and brought in our patients and simply went after early detection of this disease and awareness of this disease on our own terms, which was we were going at it from every angle. We even got an MMA fighter, Ray Rodriguez, to come out and go after chronic kidney disease with us as well, because we were just like, we're going to stop this. No matter what, we're going to stop chronic kidney disease. We are starting the first steps to stopping it. So we did all of those things and addressed early detection, social determinants of health, patient empowerment, and just began to lay out what the path would be for each one under the Silent but Deadly umbrella. We also started looking at legislation. What does legislation look like? Well, in the midst of it all, we ended up with Winter Storm Uri. Winter Storm Uri came along, and Texas Kidney Foundation once again found ourselves inundated with calls from patients all over the state who were in dire straits. Some of whom were even calling from hospital rooms because the hospital itself couldn't dialyze them because the hospital didn't have water per square inch. An unprecedented experience. Another one, a word that seems to have been used a lot in the last 18 months, unprecedented. But a phrase that we use a lot at Texas Kidney Foundation is for just such a time as this. Because Texas Kidney Foundation was prepared. We were preparing. We were storing up. We were doing what it is that Christians do. Hunkering down, thinking through the problem, praying through the problem, and getting ourselves ready for what needed to be done next. In our next segment, I'm going to tell you what that ended up being. What's next? Oh, we've got something that's only God-powered that's next. And you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany Smith, your host, And let's talk a little bit more about what's happening in the world of kidneys, because some great things are happening now. And I believe that it's all God centered and God powered. So let's talk about what he can do in the next segment of On the Record with Tiffany. So come on back and listen. And we're back with On the Record with Tiffany, and I'm your host, Tiffany Smith. We're here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. So how do we get to this point? What happened next with Texas Kidney Foundation? Well, I was planning in one of our planning sessions, and just decided I was telling my producer it was a God-centered moment, because I was just like, we want to stop this disease in its tracks. We want to make sure that the way it has ravaged my family, ravaged thousands of other families, millions across this nation, that it doesn't. We don't want to give it a chance. We want to stop this disease. And that seems like such an overwhelming statement to make. But if we don't attack it from every angle with the same ferocious vigor that it attacks our bodies with, we will not win. We have to have that Texas ingenuity. We have to be tenacious and just unyielding, true Texans just going at this. And I was like, heck yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. That's exactly what we're going to do. Because, when you're in the world of science, when you're talking to scientists, nobody ever wants to say things like, we're going to stop this. Scientists are very specific in what they say and how they say it. So no, it's rare for you to hear them make a statement that is sweeping or all-encompassing. The word choice is very important to physicians, scientists. So you rarely hear them say, we're going to stop this disease. You will see organizations that will make that claim, but the sheer who's in those organizations lets you know that the claim is probably not as true as what they're saying, because they're making a lot of money off of the disease continuing on. But we were like, no, we're going to stop this. And we know that in order to stop something, you have to look at the problem, dissect the problem. And in the United States, in order to stop anything, policy has to be written. You begin to set policy and look at what types of policy needs to be written. Well, first, what has to happen? Nobody knows anything about kidney disease. Nobody knows anything about kidney disease. And that's an interesting thing, considering that there has been huge organizations that make huge amounts of money every single year. And they've been around for 30, 40 years. And are supposed to be the purveyors of all information in regards to kidneys. And awareness. And yet, there are kidney dialysis units. There are over 50 of them in the city of San Antonio alone, over 750 throughout the great state of Texas. And if you go into the very neighborhoods that are peppered with dialysis units, and you begin to talk to people on the streets about dialysis, they don't really know much about dialysis or kidney disease. So he's like, okay, all of this exists, yet people don't know that much about it. We don't see commercials on television about it. You would think that there would be like tons of information in regards to kidney disease, how one gets to move towards transplantation, you know, what causes kidney disease, just what are the leading factors for kidney disease. Just simple pimple. What starts this? You know, how does it get started? Uh, we didn't see the numbers that we should have seen on that. And so we began at the beginning with our awareness, with silent but deadly. And then we added here this legislative session prioritization of kidney patients, which one would think that we would be considered, since we are a vulnerable group, a vulnerable population, that we would be a priority population. $120 billion, 120 billion with a B, is spent every year on chronic kidney disease. $120 billion. 120 billion reasons why kidney patients should be prioritized and should be considered a vulnerable population. Well, this legislative session, we saw kidney patients take their rightful place at the table. Now that, after Winter Storm Uri, legislators who had some skin in the game, and who had a connection to kidney disease. The legislator I think of as a kidney champion is Senator Boris Miles. He put together Senate Bill 1876, and which prioritizes kidney patients. We saw more fervor towards kidney patients and making sure that we do not experience what we did during Winter Storm Uri again. Good pieces of legislation were put forth and passed. Senate Bill 1876 passed. Senate Bill 3 with an amendment that added House Bill 2275 to it. And that particular bill, under subchapter J, that particular bill adds four accounts. The four accounts are for infrastructure. It's called the Critical Infrastructure Bill. That's what House Bill 2275 was called. So critical infrastructure would be making sure that the power and the water work. What has to be done in order to do that is we needed generators. We needed generators at the water treatment centers, generators, and maintenance, certain types of maintenance across the power grid. And we've got multiple sources of power in the state of Texas. So, and each one of them had their own needs for maintenance that had over the last 2 decades have been neglected. Our legislators came through. They addressed it. House Bill 2275 was authored by Representative Aaron Sweener, and she had a comprehensive uh, first step towards us really making a change to the power grid. That was then added on to Senate Bill 3, and it passed as well. It passed the Senate. So now both are on their way to the governor's desk. We we have seen, and Texas Kidney Foundation uh, spoke on the floor of the Senate for Senate Bill 1876 in support of it, and we worked with Representative Sweener to champion the 2275 and to give voice to kidney patients on that piece of legislation. So we have been instrumental in that, and also on a national scale. Uh, um, Texas Kidney Foundation, because of planning, thinking through how we would do uh, every leg of our journey, we have been able to change and set a path for the next leg of change for kidney patients. Now, instead of us just talking about what needs to be done, we've got legislative legs to make some things happen. We are now a priority group. We are now uh, looking at raising the bar legislatively. We've got our chronic kidney disease task force, and it is strong. We've got strong leadership in Dr. Francisco Figueroa, and we've got strong leaders within the chronic kidney disease task force. So we are moving the ball. We are moving the needle for kidney patients across the state, and we have become one of the agencies that the world is looking to in terms of making a difference for kidney patients. So, in a short period of time, a great deal can happen. And all it takes is Texas ingenuity. That's all it takes. You have to be willing to have your own motto. And our motto at Texas Kidney Foundation, our our ethos is you can either join us or get out of the way, because we're coming and we're going to stop kidney disease for real. And you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany.